Hello, everyone. Andy Fox here. Part two of our conversation with John Ramsey, the father of JonBenét Ramsey, who was killed probably on December 25th, 1996. Her body was not discovered, though, inside the house until the 26th. She was killed by strangulation and a skull fracture. Suggestions have began early on that it may have been her brother. That was completely ruled out. And John Ramsey, we will hear from him in just a second, is very disappointed with the Boulder Police Department that they've really dropped the ball on this. We have these two gentlemen, Patrick Collis and Preston Hawker. They are private investigators from Chesapeake who have been brought in. And in our last episode, you heard Mr. Ramsey really upset with the way that the police department was handling it. Yeah. What are you two guys? And they also had a meeting with Mr. Ramsey. In that meeting, what was the roadmap given to you and given to him?
Well, the roadmap was to continue on with Lou Smith's team, connecting with them and following up on the leads in the database that they have, wherever they need our help at. And in conjunction with that, building our profile and pushing the testing for the DNA, getting the community involved to back us up, to back Mr. Ramsey up, and convey the police department to do the right thing by releasing that evidence to the labs to get it tested. And let's put this thing to bed first and, once and for all.
Yeah, John Ramsey's joining us, sir, and I know how frustrated you are. You made that very clear in our last episode. Evidence determines theory, not theory determines evidence. Mm-hmm. Sir, how important is that phrase to you, and how disappointed are you with the Boulder Police Department that you say failed at the basic element of investigation?
Well, that's very key to a good detective. Follow the evidence. I don't care if you don't like the color of the guy's hair or the way he parts his hair or his eyes don't look right. Follow the evidence. And that's not easy. That takes a real skilled detective and a discipline to not let your opinion jump in there and make a conclusion and then go look at the evidence. And that's kind of what the police did. And
now, in our last episode, you were talking about the police have come around a little bit towards your yes, no?
They had very poor leadership for years, in my opinion. And that's key to a police operation. I mean, they had two young police officers that 2 years before had probably been writing traffic tickets, and now they're investigating a child murder. They don't have the experience, and they didn't have the leadership. That was the fundamental problem.
You follow evidence, not theories. How was the police department following theories that turned out to be false and not follow the evidence?
Well, I think one of the detective who was there that morning, so-called detective with us, went on national TV and said, "I know John Ramsey killed his daughter because I saw it in his eyes." And it was like, you got to be kidding. But that's the mentality we were dealing with. And I'd gotten a call, I wasn't taking calls, obviously, but a message came to me, urgent message from a fellow I worked with. He said, "I got a call from inside the system," don't know who that was. He said, "Tell John to get the best defense attorney to get his hands on. The police think he killed his daughter." This was on the day of or day after we found JonBenét. No evidence had been retrieved. None had been looked at. No background had been looked into. The collusion was made. It's the parents. It's always the parents. And therefore, it was the parents. They just didn't know which one. And we were told by a DA later, many years later, that the strategy was to bring pressure on both parents. The innocent one would turn the guilty one in, or the guilty one would commit suicide. But that was advice given to him by an FBI profiler.
And your wife at the time, Patsy, can you share with us, if you feel comfortable doing that, the conversations that were taking place between the two of you when you heard all of this, especially for that first comment that I just can't even believe that would have been said on television on the first day of this investigation. Yeah. What were you and Ms. Ramsey discussing? What were you saying to each other?
Well, we were in shock, I'm sure, looking back. and we'd lost our child. That's all that mattered. We were hurt as deeply as a human being can be hurt. Whether the police were investigating us or want to charge us, it didn't matter. We didn't care.
Because you knew the truth.
Well, it wasn't true.
No, you knew the truth that you were not involved in this at all. I mean, you knew
Well,
that
that's
you were.
part of it too. You assume, well, okay, we understood why they looked at the people that were in the room at the time, so to speak, first. And we said, okay, we get that, but don't stop there, please. Well, they did. They drew the conclusion that, and I've told people, if you're in the woods, you're on a hike, and you find a dead body and call the police, guess who the first suspect is? You. Mm-hmm. And that's just the way it works. But most police officers and seasoned investigators can discern pretty quickly that the person that found the dead body in the woods wasn't the killer.
Now, you met with Patrick and Preston, Patrick Collissier and Preston Hawker. They're private investigators from Chesapeake. And Patrick, hold up your arm real quick. Send Me. He's written a book, and it's called Send Me. And it was a book that Mr. Ramsey kind of enjoyed reading, I understand.
Oh, it's a great book, yeah.
And I'll ask you about that, Mr. Ramsey. But what was going on with your first meeting with Mr. Ramsey?
Well, as I said earlier, it was emotional. I was 16 years old, when I had heard about this, when it first came on the air in the case, and I had just made Eagle Scout that year. So it was a happy year for me. And then, to see the news on December 26th, which is my birthday, it was kind of sad. Now, again, 16, didn't pay a whole lot of attention to it, but it was still sad that a little girl had lost her life. And so if you had asked me 5 years ago, if I would have been sitting behind a desk with John Ramsey talking about the case, I'd have said no. But being in his home and then doing a prayer in his daughter's room that they had made up in their new home, seeing her personal items, her boots, it was emotional. And the thing that got me, and I told you this earlier, and I'll say it quickly, it was a picture that she colored. That wasn't a beauty queen. That wasn't a model. That was a little girl coloring. It's framed with the original color crowns that were there and her name written in crown. And that motivated me. And I said, I am not going to stop. I am not going to let her down. Okay, Mr. Ramsey, how about that? What a beautiful story he just told. And I'm sure that room, and I've never met you before, but I'm sure that room in your house is the most important room in that house. Well, we think of JonBenét every day, and minister friend told me way back, he said, well, at first memories will bring pain, eventually they'll bring joy. And we found that to be true. Okay. Well, coming up in our next episode, Mr. Ramsey, I know that you've discovered a ransom note inside the house, and the investigators here think that that's a really important key to the evidence that you two are going to be looking into. And we'll have more on that coming up right after this.
757 homeowners and business owners. A1 American is your seasonal comfort hero, bringing you same-day ice-cold AC and perfect plumbing. A1 American will rescue leaky toilets, faucets, dripping shower heads, water heaters, and slow drains now. We keep your air conditioning running efficiently in the hot days ahead. Same-day service. Schedule your air conditioning and plumbing repairs today. Call before noon Monday through Friday and save $100.
We're not just A1. We're A1 American. Call us today.
Welcome back, everyone, to Inside the Investigation. This is our second report with John Ramsey, who is the father of JonBenét Ramsey. And shortly after what happened on the 25th, likely, and then her body was found the 26th, he found a ransom note. Now, this ransom note is important for Patrick Collis and Preston Hawker, who are private investigators here in Chesapeake, and we did a story on them. Why do you, Patrick, think that this ransom note is the key to possibly finding out who did this?
Well, because it's a key element, because it is the closest thing that we have that's personal to the unsung.
What is it in there that's so personal against Mr. Ramsey?
The fact that he wrote it, and if you really examine it, I think this wasn't meant to be left I think this was meant to be read to him. I think this was a kidnapping gone wrong. Because if you read it, it says, listen carefully. It says like he's reading, the unsub is reading this on the phone to John. And as he was writing it, you could tell that it got personal really quick. It got angry. It started off organized. Okay. In typical.
And even formal. With
and
the
formal.
Mr.
Yeah. With the
Mr.
Mr.
Ramsey.
Right. And then you read further and further, and it gets more angry as you go on. And it goes on to going from Mr. Ramsey to John.
What is the importance of that?
That means that it's personal. He's angry. John was targeted by this guy or these guys, individuals, for whatever reason, and that's what we got to figure out. That's part of the profile,
Right.
that we got to figure out.
When you were talking about how personal it's getting,
Yep.
he says, "Don't try to grow a brain, John." I mean, that's
That's
personal,
personal.
and it's personal, and it's angry,
Yes.
and it's demeaning. You are not the only fat cat around, so don't think that killing will be difficult.
Correct.
Don't underestimate us, John. There's the John. Use that good Southern common sense of yours. It is up to you now, John. Now, Patrick, why is that important when he's talking about that Southern charm?
Because nobody really knew that John was, from the South. The speculation when John got on even in the public eyes when they made the announcement of the success of his company, Access Graphics, everybody thought he was from Michigan or Utah, Utah and Colorado, Nobody really knew. That's not something that John really displayed out to the public, to anybody, unless they had some inside information. And when he said Southern gentleman, that just kind of tells me it's somebody that knew something.
Yeah, and I believe that that was, and this is after talking with John for a while, we believe that one statement about being a Southern gentleman is actually more of just a jab to let John know, hey, I know exactly who you are, and you probably know who I am too. I think there's a
He
famous,
writes, John, use that good Southern common sense of yours.
Right.
It is up to you now, John.
right. So I think more than anything, we got to look at why he wrote some of these things, not just what he wrote, but why he wrote them. And I think with that Southern charm part, we really believe that was more of a jab. This is a personal letter letting you know that I know who you are.
Mr. Ramsey, why do you think they wrote this about you? They were saying that, why was he writing these things about you? And what did you think about what he was choosing to write about?
Well, I don't know. Whoever did this is deranged. And it's hard to say logically why he wrote this, but somewhat of a fantasy, I think. I think if that 118 was reference to my deferred compensation number that was on my pay stub, that's like, I know who you are.
Yeah, they were asking you to withdraw $118,000, and that just happened to
Right.
be what your deferred compensation
Yeah.
was.
So, and that to me is the most logical explanation of what that number was, and was to poke at me and say, we know about you.
And then he says, you are not the only fat cat around, so don't think that killing will be difficult.
Yeah, yeah. It's sick, but whoever did this is a very, very sick person. So I really thought could get her back if I kept my head about me that morning. And the note said, I'll call you at 10 o'clock tomorrow. Well, 10 o'clock came and went. We didn't get a phone call. So I thought, my God, I've got to wait another 24 hours to get a phone call. It's going to be horrible. Wait till tomorrow. So the benefit of that note, and I've been told this by handwriting experts know what they're doing, said with that much of an exemplar, we can match the handwriting. Not admissible in court, but we can match it. And of course, they had us write that horrible note, left-handed, right-handed,
Yes,
multiple
yeah,
times.
I do see that. I do see that.
And credible handwriting experts said it wasn't the parents. They didn't write the note.
Add in.
Yeah, it is target. It's you brought up, something I just thought about too as a fat cat. Don't think that, killing would be difficult. They can also suggest, fat cat, you're not the only rich man in the area. It's definitely a targeted rich environment, and again, John got on the radar because of the announcement of his success of his company. And, I don't know, it's just very personal, very targeted by these individuals. And I believe it was an organized organization that, kind of put it together. You had to, because he tells it in here, there's multiple people. It's not just singular. But it's, I believe it was a targeted rich environment in that regard. And I'll use that term loosely, but yeah, that's exactly.
And Mr. Ramsey, we talked about this in our last episode, but the importance of DNA to you.
Well, Lou Smith, this legendary detective that was brought in, said this case will be solved by DNA. And of course, we've had unidentified male DNA for years, but the technology has advanced so much and so far that I think he's right, without question. It can be solved, I believe, using this investigative genetic genealogy approach.
And has that not been done to your satisfaction so far?
Well, it's never been done, as far as I know. In fact, I'm certain of it. Now, we've abdicated with the police to do it. And
have they explained why they would not do it? Because it's the new technology. I mean, it's forensic
well,
evidence.
it's hard to explain
DNA.
logically. Now, they've claimed, well, we've got very small samples to work with, and we don't want to destroy it. Well, I've been told by one of these cutting edge labs, we use a few picograms of information from a sample. We don't destroy it at all. In fact, we enhance it. So that argument perhaps was legitimate 5, 6, 7 years ago, but it's not a reason not to do it today.
Okay, hold that thought, Mr. Ramsey. We'll be back. We are going to our last segment of this, and when we come back, we'll find out more about that DNA. We will also find out about what Mr. Ramsey thinks have been, after all these years, the biggest developments that he can tell us. We'll be back right after this. And continuing our incredible conversation with John Ramsey, a man who is so magnificent, and yet he has been through such horror and such sadness and still functioning and everything. And he's always been concerned that the Boulder Police Department from the start said terrible things, number one. Number two, dropped the ball all along the way. But he is encouraged that under new leadership in the Boulder Police Department, things could be turning around. Mr. Ramsey, I ask you, what gives you that hope?
Well, that's exactly what gives me hope. Until they had new leadership and got rid of some of the deadwood in their department, nothing was going to happen. And nothing did happen really for 26, 7 years. New leadership was brought in. People were excused from being there. And so that had to happen before any progress was made. And I'm hopeful that we can now see progress, and particularly see using this investigative genealogy approach used in our case. I really believe with high confidence the case could be solved. And I've told the police, I said, look, if you do all that can be done and we come up empty-handed, I'll say thank you for doing everything that could be done.
Mr. Ramsey, when you had your conversation with Patrick and Preston, what was the tenor of that conversation? What was your, I don't want to say marching orders to them, but certainly your guidance to them about where you want their investigation to go? And I know you want them to follow the facts.
Well, they're a very skilled, credible resource, and have offered to help, and that's very valuable. We have a team of retired homicide detectives that have been working on this for ever since Lou Smith died, 10 years, 12 years, on their own, volunteers. But there are only 4 of them, and this is a big job. And they've, I think, Patrick and Preston can help with that, and the effort needs to be made to follow up on these leads and check people out, get DNA. we believe it's a DNA case. I really do. And, if we have a suspect, we got to go get his DNA.
Patrick and Preston, get the DNA test. How is the flow of direction from Colorado, from Boulder to the investigators there to you? How does that play out? Do they say, "Hey, we've got these 3 leads. Can you come out here and can you start investigating them?" Is that
well? The police don't really voluntarily communicate with us. We have the legal right to get a meeting with them once a year, and they've actually been cordial. Anytime we've asked for a meeting, they've agreed. So we've met with them probably 2 or 3 times in the last 12 months, and we'll ask again for a meeting in January. But they don't tell us a lot. So we're pretty much out here on our own. We give them the information we have. Now, before they cleaned house, they wouldn't accept it, which is, again, very strange.
what he's saying is we're out here on our own. What is the flow of information from the investigators out there to you to kind of give assignments? Is that the way this plays out? We have all of these.
They have a meeting once a month and discuss who they're focused on and what they should be doing and who needs to do it and who can do it. And we get these leads that come in periodically. Just get a lot of them. In fact, I've got a stack of probably 4 inches of paper leads that we've circulated internally, and we give them to the police too. But
Patrick, have you had any conversation with any of those other investigators?
Not as of yet. We'll be meeting with them soon, and then to add on to that is just we say, hey, is there anything we can do to help you? And then they, if there is, then they give us some things we can help them on, and vice versa. But,
and I'm confident that these gentlemen can help us, so I'm grateful.
We currently have 1 lead that the plan is to get in contact with today. So the
John
initial
gives us leads,
contact,
too.
the initial contact is, what do you have to say? It's not so much an interview or even conversation. It's just we were given your information because you told us that you had some information to give. We just take the information, and from there we.
In what category is that information? I know you don't want to give a name or anything, but what kind of information?
For potential suspects.
Rapists, I'll just go in categories. These leads come in for people that are rapists and or that have stalked children and murder. So those are the categories of leads that we get in, and we set up a link and an email and a specific email address through our website to have leads come in as well. So we'll get leads in, we'll share them with John and with the team. So it's a collective effort. Lou Smith's team is they're the mothership of this entire thing. Have been for 28 years. Like Preston said, we're a small piece of it. We have our independent investigation that we're doing into the ransom note, and then we gather leads and we'll call John. Hey, John, does this mean anything to you? We'll get that to the rest of the team. This is a collective effort. I want to be clear of that. This is a collective effort of anyone who has the skill set and the willpower and the heart to want to solve this case. We're not going to solve it by theory. Everybody out there has their theories. I know who did it. I know who did it. Well, then why isn't the case solved?
Exactly.
Right. And that's
Exactly.
a big question there. Patrick Collis and Preston Hocker, and they are with Spartan Investigations and Executive Protection, and actually met Mr. Ramsey, providing some type of security for him at some conference.
CrimeCon, yes, sir.
That's where you met them, Mr. Ramsey, huh? And you knew they were good guys then.
I knew they were good guys. I could tell, and they're men of faith, and I appreciate that.
They are, and also Patrick Collis's book here, Send Me, talks about your life as being a private investigator, and one day down the road we'll talk more about that. But Mr. Ramsey, as we bring you up one last time here, I want you to know that on behalf of everyone here at Wavy TV 10 and Patrick and Preston, our new friends and everything, I want you to know we are on board, sir. And anything we can do to keep in touch and to spread the word about the success that you are now having, Mr. Ramsey, hopefully with these 2 fine investigators here, we will certainly report. And I want you to know that, Mr. Ramsey, and I appreciate your spending time with us.
Well, thank you, Andy, for your interest.
Okay. Mr. Ramsey, we've been speaking with John Ramsey, Patrick Collis, Preston Hocker. Thank you so much. We're on this JonBenét Ramsey case, okay, everyone? And we will keep you updated on any developments we have that we can share with you. That's the latest from inside the investigation. I'm Andy Fox, 10 on your side.